Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay.
So, what's new with your drama?
Oh God. Okay, let me remember where I left off.
So, you told
I
me
think I
that
think
she
I just
went
did.
back in time
Okay.
and that she wants to plot revenge. And then you told me that you thought that she was better off with her boss and you didn't understand why she wasn't with her boss and you were so confused. And that's basically all I know. It was like the first 20 minutes of the episode,
Oh my God.
the first
So
episode.
let's.
So, do you want to finish the
I.
first episode and maybe give me a glimpse of
Oh
episode two
boy. Okay, give me a second. Hold,
if you've gotten
please.
that far?
I have gotten Ariel. Yes. Okay.
And what happens after she goes back in time?
Well, she ends up back at work, and that's when I was like, oh, I don't know if her boss is gonna be like super important in this, but like I definitely feel like he should. And I
Hmm.
don't know why she wasn't with him instead, because he is so much hotter than her husband ever was. And her best friend, so fucking annoying, by the way. So she's plotting
Well,
now to,
obviously, because she cheats on,
yeah,
she cheats with her husband.
well, yeah. So she is also like, oh, you know what? I need to start setting my best friend up with my husband now. Like, I need to make it my goal because she feels like she can move her fate onto
Along
somebody
faster.
else because
Oh, oh.
she learns because an incident happens at work where like back then she had like knocked a tea kettle off at the office and it dumped on her arm and she had this huge scar on her arm. Well, that happens, but instead of her getting it hit by it, her boss gets it and then he ends up with the scar.
The hot
So
guy?
then yeah. So then she
Aw.
realizes, well, what has happened has to happen no matter what. So maybe I can push my fate of everything that happened, the cancer, the dying, all that stuff
So she can
onto her
convince
best
her friend
friend.
to marry the guy instead?
Then, yeah, then
Ah.
she can have all the shit happen instead of her. And then maybe she won't get cancer, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, fucking what? But she also notices little things that her friend does where she can see the manipulation that her friend actually did in her whole life. Dude, this friend, fucking bad shit, goddamn bonkers, by the way.
Oh.
She is crazy town banana pants because she's one of those who, like, got everything she wanted because she's pretty. And
Yep.
so she would be like, oh, I can't do, like, I want this. Oh, yeah, like, you won't give that to me, but I thought you wanted to. Yeah, it was crazy. So then, like, yeah, no, legit. And then it's like, so one of the times, like, she was going to eat lunch with her, like, the husband wanted to go out to lunch, and she was like, well, let's just go eat in the cafeteria. And like they get to the cafeteria, but that's not really what the friend had wanted. And then she remembered, like in her head, a lot of times when the friend doesn't get what she wants, she causes problems. Sure enough, the girl was going to trip her best friend to get her food to dump all over herself. So instead, she tripped the best friend, and the best friend dumped food all over the husband. It was fucking hilarious. It was great, right? So it's crazy. And then she starts making more friends with the coworkers at the job. It's great. And one of them, fucking hysterical. By the way, she dreams about dumplings and eating, and she is the greatest character I've ever known.
Love
So then,
dumplings.
yeah, the dumplings are pretty good. So
I
then,
had dumplings today.
did you?
I had pork dumplings and vegetable dumplings.
That's crazy.
I might dream about dumplings.
I mean, so then a bunch of other stuff happens, but then she's gonna have a high school reunion. And here's the problem with this high school reunion is she remembers the high school reunion from before, and when she had gone, she had gotten super embarrassed because she got bullied heavily in school. And her friend, quote unquote friend, gave her like these set of earrings, but they're like knockoffs and they're really bad knockoff earrings. And then she had gotten bullied at the reunion for having the really bad knockoffs. So her new friend had come over and the girl's like, I'm going to take you shopping. She's great, by the way. And she's like, let's go. Because she even saw the earrings. She goes, whoever gave these to you hates you. These are so bad. And the girl actually has like real ones. So they go shopping and she gets this whole new transformation, gets a whole brand new wardrobe. She chops her hair nice. She got hot basically because so she can go to this reunion and also like
Yeah.
feel better about herself. Anyways, the new friend paid for everything. She goes, I have a membership here and it ends tomorrow. So let's just buy everything. And she just like goes ham. Then she's like prepared to go to this reunion. And so she gets there And the best friend is like sitting there, like talking to her, like, oh, why aren't you coming? Are you coming? Da 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 da. By the way, turns out the reason why she was bullied so fucking heavily is because her best friend was telling everybody, oh my God, the guy that I loved in high school and dated, she told me that I had to break up with him. And oh, I got these earrings, but she also got them to copy. Basically, like, she's copying me. So that's why she got bullied so fucking heavily, is this terrible friend. And she ends up getting called out. And then they're like, the mean girls are like, questioning the best friend, like, what the fuck, da da da. So then when it comes to the dude, because like you can't really prove like, yo, I broke up with this dude, but like, guess what? Guess who shows up at the reunion? The dude. Do you want to know why he shows up at the reunion? He has avoided these people for years. Turns out the boss hunted him down because he's like this big chef dude, and like convinced this guy to go to the reunion. Do we want to know why this happened? Because he's also from the goddamn future. He also died.
The
The
boss?
boss who had died, he died the day after her funeral because he was avoiding hitting a cat on a highway and got into a car accident and died. But he had overheard at the funeral the best friend talking shit, hearing about the reunion, and then also witnessed the best friend and the husband getting arrested. But like, he heard all of these conversations. So now his goal, and he's in love with her. Don't worry. It's crazy. He likes her. So his plan now in this life is, he's like, if I had another chance, I would redo thing and protect her. So his goal right now is to make her have a better life in this life, but neither one of them know that they both are back. Neither one of them know this.
Oh, shit. Well, if you are as invested as I am, please tune in next week to find out what happens further on Crystal's rendition of
Marry My Husband. It's on Amazon Prime. You guys should all go watch it. It's
But
crazy. Or you can
I
just listen to me
instead
talk about
am
it.
just going to listen to Crystal's recaps because they're more fun for me. So you can too. Thanks.
Anyways, dude, the show's fucking
Holy
crazy.
shit.
Dude, it gets even, you think that's crazy? It gets even fucking more wild. More twists
Goodness.
and turnies. It's wild.
Well, how to follow that?
With a
My
book.
goodness. I guess we should probably talk about what we read this week. This week, we read Rise by Cassandra Robbins, and Rise is a rock romance book, a musical rock god romance.
I have thoughts.
I have many thoughts. That's what we're here for. Share all our thoughts
Ugh, I
and
want to share it now,
dreams.
but I should share it after.
This book goes back and forth a little bit. We get a glimpse of the past, we get a glimpse of the future. It's a little bit of a second chancey romance. It's a brother's best friend romance, kind of, though I didn't really feel that as much because they're not really best friends anymore. But,
They
labels,
were at one point.
right. So let's do it. All right. Our female main character, Gia, is at a cafe in Paris. She is tired and jet lagged after a long flight, but she's with her best friend, Sebastian, and it's Fashion Week. They are there for Gia to do a photo shoot for a designer's upcoming collection. A girl runs past their table screaming, Rock God! Gia starts panicking and telling Sebastian they need to leave. He doesn't understand and thinks she's just tired. More girls start lining and grouping together, yelling about, It's him! Rock God! I don't think the giant eye roll I did was audible, so.
Did you do it every single time that came up?
Yep.
Okay.
Gia says, Now, and gets up to go. Sebastian, who had been trying to see what all the fuss was about, finally sees the guy and says, Oh, it's Granger from the Stuffed Muffins.
It's a really funny name, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Would you like someone to butter your muffin?
There definitely was a lot of muffin stuffing.
He's coming this way. Suddenly, she can feel him behind her. And then he says her name, and she turns and nods and says his name back, Reese. The model draped over him is like, Granger, who is this? You promised. And fucking lunges at Gia.
Yeah, she wasn't happy.
No stopping to read the room, nothing. Apparently, he can't talk to anyone. Reese
He can't
quickly
be bothered.
grabs, right? Reese quickly grabs Gia and pulls her to safety just in time for the woman Paulette to nosedive into a table. Gia tells him to let go of her. He only holds her tighter. She says, fuck you. There are people surrounding the scene, phones out watching, and he lets go. Paulette once again asks Reese who Gia is. He says, she's nothing, but asks Sebastian who the fuck he is. He says, the one helping your girlfriend. What the fuck, Gia? Get over here. Reese punches Sebastian and asks Gia if his cock has been in her. The fucking whiplash, my guy.
Yeah, that doesn't stop.
No. How we're
And
starting
it,
out is how it goes the whole time. Gia tells Reese to stay away and rushes to help Sebastian. Reese drags Paulette out the exit. Sebastian starts demanding for people to take pictures and an incident report to be written up and going on and on and on about suing.
I mean, to be fair, I would also sue if someone just punched me in the fucking face
Out of the blue randomly.
for literally
Some
existing.
celebrity.
Yeah, absolutely fucking lutely. I would have sued for more than he was planning on suing for. Are you kidding me? Taking for all his worth.
Then we get a glimpse into the past when Reese was 17. The girl down the street he had been casually fucking is pregnant. And she has an abortion appointment for the next day, but she seems to want more than just the casual relationship she has with him. And she thinks that this is their link and the key to getting it. He's basically like, nah, bro. We learn with some math that this is 17 to 18 years prior to the start of our story. And an almost 8-year-old Gia scolds Reese after the girl leaves. Gia is Reese's best friend's nosy kid sister who always happens to be around. She asks why he's always making girls cry, asking why the girl was talking about a baby because she's going to be the one to marry Reese and the only one having his babies. He tells her
Now
that
listen, it's cute as an 8-year-old. It should stop at
but
8
it
years old.
didn't stop.
No, just saying. It's cute at first. Because a lot of kids do that. I'm gonna marry you. We're gonna get
Sure,
married.
absolutely. There
And
was
then you
nothing
grow
wrong
up
with
and then realize that probably not a great idea.
no. He tells her he's 9 years older than her, that it's not going to happen. She says it will when she grows up. We learn that Reese has had a crap home life and has spent most of his time growing up at his best friend Axel's, but that also meant their permanent mini shadow. Then we move to when Gia is 18. She has finagled with her college to let her tour with the stuffed muffins for an interview with photos for grades for 6 weeks. She thinks this is her chance for Reese to see her as a real adult and come to her conclusion that they are soulmates. Her brother and family are vehemently against her doing this.
No.
Reese doesn't even know she's planning this either. She hasn't seen him in person since she was 11. Reese is 27 and living like a cliched rock star, drugs and drinking galore. When he sees Gia, he doesn't even recognize her through the haze and hits on her instead, almost immediately kissing her. Nuke, the drummer, who is the one who helped Gia set this all up and has actually been in contact with her over the years, tried to warn Reese who she was, but he just took her hand and pulled her away to take her up to his hotel room. On the way, he asks how she knows Nuke, and she realizes he doesn't recognize her.
Now, how long had it been since they'd seen each other?
7 years. She was 11 and now she's an 18-year-old. So that is a big difference.
Okay, so
She was just
fair enough.
expecting him to know.
Well, yeah, because she is
And
Delulu.
he's in some kind of drugged haze.
And he is gone. But
Yeah.
like, okay. Listen, Delulu, so much.
Oh, yeah. She doesn't want his attention, his want for her to stop. She's dreamed of this. And she's also drunk. Nuke and her did shots before seeing Reese. So she just says she's an old friend. He doesn't believe her, stating he knows all of Nuke's old friends, but he just keeps kissing her anyways. He fingers her and pulls her dress off and tosses her onto the bed. He goes down on her and then shoves his big pierced dick inside with one go. Gia, the little psycho, had been saving herself for him.
And it's not the sweet but a psycho kind of thing. It is like delusional psycho, like I I'm gonna marry this man when she's
So I'm saving my
7, almost
virginity
8.
for him.
So I'm gonna save my virginity for him. Oh my God, he doesn't recognize me, but you know what?
But
Totally okay.
my virginity is still his. So
It's still his,
here we
even though
go.
he is so drug addled right now. It's fine. It's fine. He'll We're gonna laugh about this later when we have our 2.5 children in a white picket fence.
He ends up pulling out to finish on her. He cleans her up and they pass out. Reese wakes up more clear headed, horrified to realize what he has done and who. He wakes Gia, who is also feeling regretful, but mostly hurt that she did all this for someone who didn't even recognize her and is now upset that it all went down. Crickets? I'm sorry. Did we hear those crickets? The band barges in for a planned meeting. Nuke is like, what the fuck? Gia heads to take a shower and clear her head. Rafe, the manager, says there's a video of Reese and Gia in the elevator. Reese demands he takes care of it. Duh. Like, do your job, dude. Why do you need someone to tell you
I
that?
hate Rafe so much, though. So
Yeah.
much do I hate this man. And he's
hmm
like
I'm
around
trying
the
to think of
same age,
somebody I
I
did
believe.
like.
It was really difficult.
Yeah.
And there was no dogs in this one to like.
So sad.
And men as dogs don't count.
When Gia comes back, Rafe tries to be all dickhead intimidating, asking why she's there. Didn't Nuke clear this with people? Like, I just don't understand. She explains Reese isn't buying it and is kind of a dick about it. She's had enough and says, fine, I'll have to just tell my brother that you took my virginity and called me a liar. All these little shits are scared of Axel, who quit the band before they went big and now runs some big motorcycle club. She says she gets her photos and interviews, and her brother and the disciples, the motorcycle club, don't need to know anything. Reese tells her to stay away from him and walks out. Rafe says he will get things for her to sign and a room for her. 2 days later, Gia has been wallowing and drinking. They just arrived in a new city and she is hungover, tired, and cranky. Reese shows up at her room and demands to talk. He asks if she's on birth control. She says she should lie and tell him no because clearly he didn't care. He claims that he's always careful, that she was an exception. She says that she's not 7 anymore. She knows his secrets and she's not impressed. He says, you came here for me, didn't you? That he doesn't care about the past or who she is, but his cock wants her. He orders her to get on her knees, and she does. Oh, I think that was the whiplash again. Hold on. Sorry, I had to pause for that. She pulls his shorts down and goes to town. After he finishes, he asks what she's expecting to happen between them. She says everything. He tells her he isn't what she needs. She counters with, she's what he needs. He tells her he will hurt her. She says she's not leaving. He says, you will, and then he leaves.
And here is going to be my mandatory PSA. You cannot fix broken men, and don't try.
Or women.
Or women. But in this case,
Both of them are pretty
well,
broken.
both. But she's like, no, no, no. I'm what you need. No, sweetheart. What you
Yeah.
need is what he needs is therapy and a drug rehab. She also needs therapy, but like, we are not rehabs
We
for
are
broken men.
never, ever, ever getting back together. We.
Listen, we are not rehabs for broken men. We are farmers. Dun 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 dun. Dun. Sorry, continue.
A week or so later, they are setting up in yet another city. Gia has been getting great shots of the band, but hasn't really seen much of Reese, never mind alone. Between the distance and the new music swirling in his head, this has Reese on edge. He bails early during sound check and finds Gia and says, let's go. He takes her to a restaurant to feed her because he has noticed she doesn't seem to be eating much. She's broke. He orders for her, which pisses her off, so she tells him she's a vegetarian and orders fruit instead, but totally eats the burger he ordered when it arrives. Men don't order for women. It's not cute.
The only
No,
time
thank
that
you.
I will allow someone to order for me is if they know my order completely.
I can speak for
That's it.
myself.
I mean,
The
yeah.
only time I will allow a man to order for me is if I send that motherfucker
Okay, fair
somewhere
point.
without me.
That's fair.
Yes.
Men, stop.
No, thank you.
We don't like it. No, thank you. I am the alpha in this relationship, not you.
How about I'm just a person?
That too.
As he eats his own burger in only 3 bites, she tells him it's like he's always racing to be bigger and better. Does he ever get to just be Reese anymore? He says that being around her is helping. She says he should call his mom and the shutters come back down. He spent his childhood scared and alone, dealing with his mom's bipolar episodes, and even now, with him funding her life and giving her all she could need, she can't stay on her medication. That's not something he wants to have in his life. Boundaries. And she needs to respect that.
Where are they?
It sounds like he's trying to set some, and nobody can respect that.
Yeah, but I'm her. Where are your boundaries? I don't see them. I'm blind. I love you.
He tells her they need to head back and get ready for the show. A week later, and they are still making their way through cities and shows. And Gia has been photographing and documenting it all. She feels like she's gotten some real magic, way more than just for an article. They're in Chicago, and Gia is cornered by Rafe, the manager, who wants to see her pictures and book her a flight home since she has had more than enough time and it's almost Christmas, so perfect timing. During the concert, Reese can't take it anymore and actually leaves mid set to finally fuck her again up against a wall super quick and then heads right back on stage. She thinks this is a dream come true, not something trashy, like it is. This makes her decide to stay. Rafe and her family be damned.
She's just dumb. To be fair, she is 18, but at the same time, she's dumb.
Well, that is why she shouldn't be with a 27-year-old.
No.
I don't like that. That's ick to me. No, thank you. No, thank you.
No, thank you. Bye.
They spend the next week barely apart, fucking like rabbits. On Christmas, Gia even tells Reese that she loves him, and he's like, "You think I was obsessed with you before? That just made it worse." He's not
But
letting
he
her go.
doesn't say he loves her. Let's put that out right now. He's
Just that
obsessed
he
with her, though.
just that he's not letting her go. Yep. He tells her to call her mom because they're both stopping by to see her for Christmas dinner. Let's just say the visit doesn't go well. They don't even make it to dinner before Gia and her mom are screaming, and Reese is heading out for air after Janet, Gia's mom, says, "How is he going to take care of you when he can't even take care of his own mom?" Again,
Okay. It
no
was,
one can recognize and respect anyone's boundaries.
and like,
It's not like his job. He literally, we had flashbacks of him being 6 years old, having to take care of this woman and cook for her and take razor blades away from her. He had to parent her enough. I think he can be done now. He can set boundaries.
yeah. And I think I'm assuming the only reason is she probably didn't know the situation, but still,
But it's not
it's
your
none of her
business.
business.
Mind your business, bitch.
And it sucks because, like, there were parts where I fully agreed with the mom. I was like, yeah, you're being an idiot. Like, this is not a healthy relationship. But then she does shit like this, and I'm like, I can't
I
even
know.
like the mom.
I know.
God damn it.
Reese sits out on the porch for a while, the lyrics of a song pouring out of him before walking over to visit his mom. He hasn't seen her in 5 years. His mom is not doing well. He wants to know why he hasn't been notified. The aide says that the doctors and nurses have been leaving multiple messages with his assistants, which we don't ever really get closure or anything of why the assistants never really, but I mean, I guess we could just assume. She is so low, she's basically catatonic. Gia finds him and they just hold each other. A week later, and Reese has had his mom moved to a private hospital. Reese and Gia have been holed up in a hotel for the last week with Reese deep in the writing zone. But holiday break is over, and it's the day of the last concert of the tour. Gia is feeling antsy because they haven't discussed any plans for what's next for them. As they head out to go to the show, Reese tells Gia he loves her. and it seems to calm her a bit. On the way, Rafe calls and tells them to turn around. It's being postponed due to rain, and to meet him back at the hotel. There's a pregnant woman, Renee, and her lawyer in Rafe's suite when they get there. Renee is claiming the baby is Reese's. He says no way. She says a paternity test will prove it. And then you will be involved. He says by some miracle it is, which it isn't, then everyone will know that she's a gold digger who did this on purpose, and grabs Gia's hand, who is having an internal meltdown, and walks out the door. He assures
Barely having an internal meltdown because that is a
right?
lot of information.
He assures Gia that this is not the first time that someone has pulled this, that the baby isn't his, and he brings her back to their room and tries to roughly fuck the sad out of her. But once he comes, he just gets up and leaves
Yeah,
silently, which, what the fuck?
that's not the way to convince her that this isn't true, man.
Apparently, man-child got all in his feelings about her having feelings and not just being a support to him without thoughts of her own, and couldn't handle it. He just wanted her to just be like, okay, of course. Of course it's not yours. I believe you. And not have any feelings whatsoever to do with it.
In case anyone can't hear my eye roll.
He's been avoiding her since that moment last night, and he's been getting ready for the show. And he's all wondering why she hasn't called him.
You fucked her and left.
Right. He's wallowing when Axel, Gia's brother,
Wallow in your own goddamn, wallow in your feelings all you want. You did it to yourself.
right?
Dum-dum.
Axel shows up all pissed, punches swinging. He wants Reese away from Gia. Reese claims Gia is his. Axel says that Reese is just going to be just like his mom, that he can't make her happy. Wow, that was
Which
a
is
low
such a
blow,
low,
buddy.
it was a low blow. And here's the thing is
He
Axel
was
at least
trying to get a
has,
reaction.
and Axel at least has the context as to who his mom is as
And
a
he
person,
knows it's
whereas
a
her,
fear of Reese because it is a
yeah,
hereditary disease, or can be, I should say.
yeah. So like he knows just how to hit him in the spot, and he's trying to protect his sister. And clearly Axel
It
and
works.
him have a weird history of something went down,
Which
and
that was never explained.
no, I have no fucking idea.
No
That's
idea.
why
It was
I was
never
nothing.
explained.
I got nothing.
Axel says he's taking Gia with him. When Gia shows up at the concert, she gets a welcome from Renee. Renee gives an ultrasound picture to her and lets her know that her days with Reese are numbered.
But you should take a look at it since we're gonna, co-parent this child. Excuse me?
And that always brings people together. He'll be warming my bed soon. When Gia sees Reese, he just looks sad and says, all I do is make you cry. He hasn't been able to get those words that she said to him as a kid out of his head, how he always makes girls cry. She asks him if the baby ends up being his, if he'll be involved. He says if it is, then yes. And she's upset by this because that almost solidifies Renee's comment in her head. And he just walks onto the stage. And so when her brother calls her name behind her, she just hugs him and cries, feeling like this is the end. She leaves with Axel. Like, what the fuck?
She is 18, so like
Yeah,
there's a little bit of grace of being a dumbass, kind of. But at the same time,
yeah.
bitch, come on.
We come back to the present. Reese is in a meeting with Rafe, the band, and some suits talking about some movie deal. He's lost in thought overseeing Gia again. The band's bassist, Cash, ended up being that kid's father with Renee. Weird. And he lost Gia anyways. He thinks that's, the big reason.
Because he also didn't know that Cash was also sleeping with Renee at the time, so he
And
was kind of
Cash
like a
never spoke
little,
up.
and Cash never said anything, so he felt a little betrayed about it. But like, y'all are all sleeping with each other. I don't know what
They're
to say.
groupies. They were sleeping with everybody.
Right? Surprise.
Yeah, right. He's pulled back to the meeting by someone asking if he's sure there isn't anything he wants, that this is going to be a major motion picture. He says Wait, yeah, there is something. I pick the DP and the photographer, or I walk. The guy says, you can't be serious. We already have
Like
an
we're paying you guys fuck tons of money.
we already have award-winning people. Like Reese says he's dead serious. They ask who. He says Gia Fontaine and Sebastian Knight. They don't know who Sebastian is. He has to pull up a picture of him. I guess he's just like an up and comer.
Well, yeah, he's
But
not deep into it,
right.
but she is well
But the
known.
guy says that Gia was their first pick, but unfortunately she declined.
I
Reese
wonder
says,
why.
imagine that. Reese says, then I'm not available. Ammo, his guitarist, says, I'm with you. Gia truly knows this band. Cash says, it's her or I walk too. Nuke's passed out at the table, but Reese speaks for him and says, the stuffed muffins have spoken. I'm sorry, I just can't take that name seriously. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Stuffed muffin. Would you like me to have
Uh,
someone butter your muffin?
they stuffed a lot of muffins.
Yeah.
Clearly, at least there was one thing the entire band could agree on.
Yeah. He's like, make it happen. And they walk out. Rafe is not happy and makes this known to Reese.
When
He
is Rafe
tells
happy?
right. Tells Rafe that he's been dead inside and
It's
spending even that
dramatic.
and spending even that brief moment with her made him feel alive. That she's his muse.
That
Eye
you
roll.
fucked and left. I don't. That what?
Rafe
Okay.
asks, what about Paulette? Reese simply says that she's not his muse. Gia's fashion week job went well, but her sleep since seeing Reese, not so much. She's in bed trying when Sebastian shows up at her hotel room door. He's straight out the gate babbling about how he needs her to do this for him. She's like, well, what's going on? He's confused. Like, they haven't contacted you? She's like, is that why my manager is calling me nonstop? She avoids him whenever possible. He convinced her to turn their professional relationship into personal, and she wasn't a fan, and he continuously wants to try again. Sebastian tells her about the joint job offer. She explains she already told him no. Sebastian is hammering the pleading on Vic until she caves and she says that she'll do it for him. He's acting all excited and talking about what a great opportunity it is for her, too, not realizing at all that she just made such a big personal sacrifice for him. Once he leaves, she starts smoking a joint that she saved for emergencies to chill out. Good Lord, woman. When a knock sounds from the door, it's Reese. She's not happy. He barges in as she's telling him that he's got nerve. He says, watch it, that he's giving her boyfriend a career and she knows it. She asks if she
Yes,
needs to
but
call
what does he
security.
call her? All the time.
No, thank you. He asks if she's going to share. She does. So then they both just freaking smoke pot because even though they're both fully adults now, all they
Okay,
do is
listen.
drugs all the time. I'm not saying that like you can't do things in moderation because it pleases you, like whatever, but these people are like excess, excess, excess.
Oh yeah, they're excessive. Like when I can't sleep, I just eat an edible and then I sleep beautifully. I know Gia's problem. It's been made very clear. She needs to stop sleeping with people she works with.
Don't most people. She tells him she doesn't know why
Yeah.
he wants her on this job, that using Sebastian to get to her is shitty, that she can't stand him, that everything she thought he was is a lie. She loved him and he betrayed her. He tells her
Not
that
having a baby.
he tells her that she couldn't handle this life, that she didn't trust him, and then she just left. That he thought she would at least come back after the news broke about the baby being Cash's, but she never did. She tells him he sold his soul to be a star. He gets right in her face and tells her she needs to be fucked. Because that's your answer to everything, buddy. And she's okay with it. She
Yeah.
she says get out. He says he's not going anywhere and kisses her, ripping open her robe and then dropping to his knees to go down on her. He pulls his pants down and yanks her on top of him and tells her to fuck him. And she does. But as soon as he finishes, she silently gets up and goes to the bathroom and shuts the door. Reese calls Rafe and tells him to get her to sign the contracts he wants to start and then leaves. She did, in fact, sign the contracts and then fired her skis bag manager. They started filming and they need to board a plane to go to the next location of the tour. Gia doesn't do well with flying, and it has only gotten worse and worse over the years. She's trying to tune everyone out and breathe when Reese scoops her up and holds her, telling her to listen to his heart. This helps. He tells her it beats for her.
Does
They
it?
both they both fall asleep and sleep the whole way. When they wake up, Gia darts to the bathroom until it's time to get off the plane. He finds her later, though, when he gets wind that she tried to quit and get out of her contract. She says it's insanity being around him, that she hates feeling like this. He says she can't leave. She says, so they say. He says, not because of the contract, but because I need you to stay. You're my muse. Buddy, like, you should want a woman for more than, like,
Nope.
he starts disrobing them both because that's apparently the only way to communicate. And then they're fucking again.
Yeah.
When she wakes, Gia's head is spiraling. No fooling. Reese tells her that she's his and that his heart beats for her, that he's done playing. She says she can't commit to anything. He asks her to go to dinner. She goes to shower and change and comes out to him creating a new song, and a song about his heart beating for her. At her staring at him, he just tells her she's his muse again. She asks why he never came for her. He says she was 18 and didn't trust him. She said she waited, which, by the way, before she said she put him completely out of her mind after that day. So, which is it, lady? Are you lying to yourself? Are you lying now? Were you lying before? What are you doing? I think all around, personally. She says he let her go. He says we only have now, and he is choosing this moment to be with her. That's some manipulative bullshit, just saying.
He is so manipulative all the time.
They both are, really, truly. He asks what she wants. She says him. He says she has him. His heart beats for her. Did you know that? That his heart beats for her?
But does it? Does
I
it
don't know.
really beat for her?
Does his
I
heart
don't know.
beat for her?
I don't
Maybe.
know. Does it?
Does my heart beat for you?
Ooh.
They spend 2 days in his room and come out
Look at that.
solely for the next show. When the band goes on, Sebastian confronts her. This life isn't you. He will always have girls. There's another girl pregnant making a scene right now, claiming to have slept with all of them. But she's pointing the finger at Nuke. That you're not this kind of girl. That Sebastian will regret not saying anything. Reese will fail you. Gia just hands over her camera and says, I quit, and walks out. Just like that. After all that, this is the where's the whiplash sound again? Holy moly. When Reese gets off stage, he doesn't see Gia and starts asking where she is. Sebastian smirks, and Reese goes to town on his face until Rafe pulls him off. His bodyguard assures him that she's safe, and he took her to the airport. She ran from him again. Didn't even give them a chance. Buddy,
I
aren't you
just
sick of this back and forth? Because I am.
I was like, girl, didn't you learn from the first time? Like,
See, and I
what the
was like,
fuck?
dude, didn't you learn? Like, aren't you sick of this? Gia has
Hmm.
spent the last week hiding out with her best friend from college, Juliana, both of them spending it wasted and fucked up. Weird, because apparently that's all these people do. So much so that they are barely making it for Axel's wedding that Gia was supposed to be there days in advance for. This girl is a fucking hot mess and needs to grow the fuck up. It's the last show of the tour, and Reese has been trying to drown his sorrows. He drunkenly takes the stage and painfully sings the song he wrote for Gia. Sebastian follows him off stage and tells him he fucked up, that he purposefully drove Gia away. He tells Reese that she's always loved him. Nothing seems to make her not. Sebastian has been trying to get with her for a while. Reese has always been there as this shadow, and she's not been able to let go of him. And he's jealous. And he's kind of admitting to this and that his love for her isn't really going to go anywhere. Sebastian tells Reese that she's at Axel's wedding and that she's in California, so she should be there. The whole band rallies behind Reese and they get the plane ready. Reese hasn't forgiven her, but he can't seem to live without her, so he needs to go get her. He comes up with a plan. He wants to hold a concert for her outside her door. Rafe is like, no, you need permits for that?
A la that movie.
or you will go to jail. Reese just smiles and said, "We're going to jail." Okay, buddy. And the whole band is like behind him, like, okay, we're all going to jail. It's been a while. Rafe's over here, like, you're too old for this shit. You
Rafe,
are.
shut
You.
the fuck up. Well, okay, yes, he is too old for this shit, but also Rafe, shut the fuck up.
Gia's at her house, sleeping off the craziness of the wedding. This must be a spin-off to a series of a motorcycle club series with all that pertained to the wedding and all those people.
The whole thing was a mind fuck. I got
We
nothing.
had no knowledge on these characters because it feels like we should have read an entire series based on this motorcycle club, but there was no heads up about that. There was no warning about that. It's super annoying when there's like spin-offs and crossovers like that. Like, tell us at the beginning of the book. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't you want people to read more of your books? Don't you want to sell more of your books?
Yep.
If people come in the middle, they're not going to be happy. They'd much rather go to the start and read all of them, don't you think? This does not work for me. So, Gia is woken up by loud music and Reese's voice asking her to come outside. She's like, "What are you doing?" He tells her to come here. People start to gather. He yells to her that she might want to come here if she doesn't want him to go to jail. She runs to him. He says, "Took you long enough. You ran again." She says she's sorry, that she had already decided to come back, like during all the wedding shenanigans and all that. And he said he came for her instead. She tells him that her heart beats for him. He says, "Don't leave me again." She says that she won't. And helicopters start to circle overhead. And then we get, "This is the LAPD. Go home. Concert over." They magically get into a vehicle, which I read the scene 7 times to try to figure out how they got into said vehicle because it was not stated. Because 1 second they were outside, and then, like, all of a sudden, further down in the paragraph, it was go to the hotel. And then she was getting on the floorboard. So they magically get into a vehicle, and she undoes his pants and starts to go down on him. Like whiplash again.
In the
The moving vehicle. Yep.
I had to
When
reread it because
she,
at first I thought they were actually back at a hotel, and I was like, no, they're in the
yep,
car.
yep. Well, because we didn't know because it never said anything about getting into a car. So
Mm.
when she notices that he has a new tattoo on his thigh, her name, they fuck, and he asks why she ran. She says she was scared. He says she doesn't trust him. She says she was scared of what she felt for him. He says, "And you think I'm not?" But that she's his. She says that she loves him, that she always has.
Daddy, I love him.
I'm having his baby. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. This is the definition of I can fix him. No, really, I can. Oh, maybe I can't.
He says you're going to have to marry me. She says, "I told you that when I was 7." And
Gosh.
that's it. Then we get an epilogue 1 year later. It's the premiere of the movie documentary. They are happy. The Stuffed Muffins just released yet another new album, and Reese is thinking that after this one, it may be time to slow down and knock up Gia. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
These people should not be in a relationship. She's gonna leave him again. As long as he is still in the stuffed muffins, she's gonna keep leaving because people are gonna keep coming forward. I'm having his
They're
baby.
both, if you looked up immature in the dictionary, their picture of her, and then they have the extra definitions. Her primary, him next to it. Immature, whiplash, whiplash, immature. These two people should
Just
not be left alone to their own devices ever, and they should not procreate,
no, they should not.
my opinion. I do believe that she was worse than him, though, my personal opinion.
Oh, for sure.
I do not like the mental health representation in this book and
No,
everyone's reaction
they
to
were
it.
very that, and then there was so much of them like using alcohol and like drugs to just like,
Absolutely.
and I understand like that can
It
be
was
the
so
lifestyle and everything,
cliched
but it
though,
was, and that's
like
and that
to
was the thing.
an extreme.
I don't like the fact that we don't know what happened between the two of them, and the only way to know what happened
So many things unknown.
is the brother, like, is reading that series, and I don't like that. So that's annoying. It sucks.
I wouldn't have chosen something that was too convoluted, like so we had to read so many different things for
Yeah.
one episode. Even when we do things like, for instance, when we're doing like the jewelry box series, we've been 100% upfront the entire time. Previous episodes, during those episodes, like this is part of a series. Please listen to our other one or read
And
the book
and
before.
anytime we've done
And
like second books in a series, like when
that's
we
what I
did the
mean.
temporary
Like,
wife,
just
we
thinking of
did,
that because
oh yeah, because we're working
that's
on it
on our
now.
mind for now. Yeah.
Right.
It's frustrating when things aren't up front.
I did not care for either of these characters at all.
Mm-mm.
The entire book, I was like, I don't care about them at all.
It's
I
and
don't
it's
even care what
hard.
happens to them.
It's hard to read a book when you have no connection or care about the main characters. So I am one of those people where I'm like, you do you. You know what I mean? Like I don't really care as long as it doesn't affect me. Like
Mhm.
you do you. But I personally don't like to read a lot about a lot of drug use and stuff like that. It's just not my favorite thing because
I don't even think
I
it was like,
don't
it
do.
wasn't even like
Also, I
stated
don't
up
think it
front.
was trigger warninged at all or anything like that. It's just not my vibe, and I'm not really here for it. I just don't tend to gravitate towards those kind of reads because it's not my scene, it's not my vibe, and I just find it distasteful, my own personal self. Do I care that Susie down the road is doing it to chill out and have a good time or do whatever? As long as it doesn't affect me and she and her people are taken care of, mind my own business. But this was just
The thing
not for
is
me.
too is like, yes, it is a rock star romance, so people are probably gonna be like, yeah, but it's a rock star romance. You should expect the drug. Here's the thing:
Yeah,
I have
sure,
read
but
plenty of rock star romance where
it
that's
got
not even involved. Yes,
right.
we get the
But it got to
alcohol
the point
use.
where my point was, I forgot my point along the way, but I just remembered it. It got to
You
the point
finally
where,
found it.
yes, I found it. But it got to the point where I didn't care about these characters so much that I did not care about the amount of drugs and alcohol they were consuming because I literally did not give a flying fuck about them. Dig yourself into that hole, whatever.
It's been a while since we've had this visceral of a reaction to a book. I actually think it's
On
been a very long time since we haven't
and
liked characters in a book.
and
Because
I
at
want
least there's
to
usually one redeeming person.
I just want
Who's the
to
redeeming? There wasn't even a dog.
I just want to be upfront and say that this doesn't mean that it was very poorly written or it was a bad book in general. I just didn't like the characters. And that puts you at a certain vibe. It just does. I was reading a book a few weeks ago and something similar happened to me. I was really excited to read the book. The premise seemed great. And I got like not even a full chapter into it. And I was in one of the characters' heads and I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I don't want to be in this person's head. And I will probably DNF it. Any whoosies.
Where were we going
Who
with this?
I don't remember. Oh, I think DNFing. I think because I probably would have DNF'd it on my own based on being in these characters' heads. On that note,
Okay.
who was your least favorite character?
Everybody. I hated every single person in this book.
But my actual least favorite was Gia because for me, she was the worst. I hated her.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't
I
like
didn't like
her at all.
anyone, but I'm saying,
She was the worst.
who was your favorite? Okay, actually, I might have somebody. If I had to pick somebody, if I gun to my head had to pick somebody, I'm gonna
Gun
go
to
with
my head
Nuke.
if oh,
I'm gonna go
because he
with
was
Nuke.
passed out like the whole time.
Yeah, because he was
Also,
passed
what are
out for
these names?
because he was passed out for most of the book, and he was a supportive friend to literally everyone.
I can feel that then. Yeah, that. So the passed
So,
out guy, who in his very few brief moments of consciousness was a good friend.
Good job, Nuke.
Awesome sauce. Okay, so
Maybe you could get sober now.
so Amazon gives us a 4.4 and Goodreads gives us a
Oh,
4.1,
I can't wait to find out what you rated this.
a 2. The problem is there was so much potential,
I think
and
that's where
that's the
I struggle
problem.
so much with my rating because the potential I wanted to rate it higher, but my total dislike for everybody just kept dragging and dragging and dragging, and just the questions and the non-answers. And I ended up settling on a 2.5, which it's pretty rare when I rate higher than you. I don't think it happens very often. I think it's happened like maybe twice this year.
It sucks because like I
I can
wanted
change it if you want me to, though.
no, no, we're let's not do. I am not going to pressure you into anything. That's not how this relationship works.
Don't fool yourself.
Problem, I don't like being confused in a book, and I really, really
I think
don't
that's the
like.
worst part. Like, right, exactly. I don't like being confused. Plain and simple.
I don't like the fact that after
I read to get out of my head.
the first time that a person showed up with a potential baby, and he's like, "It's not me." If you are so fucking in love with this person, and you have been in love with this person since you were 7 years old,
And none of it
and
made
you
any
ignore
fucking sense. None of it made any fucking
and
sense.
and you are there ignoring all of these people saying he's a bad dude, and you're like, no, no, he's not. All of these people your whole life have said these things to you, and you are always, always defending him. And this one situation happens, and you're like, peace the fuck out, and you leave. And then it happens a secondary time. First of all, you know his reputation, you know his job, you know all of these things, and not Taylor Swift reputation, because her
Oh,
reputation's
come on.
great.
I was in my head.
I saw you singing. You know this, and it happens a second time, and your reaction is to literally do the exact same thing you did the first fucking time, even though the first time turned out to be like false. Like, I understand the first time because you're 18, you're young, you're stupid, you lost your virginity to this man, you're in your feelings. I get it. But now you are much older. She's not more mentally stable. If anything, I think she's less mentally stable because her solution to everything is to get blasted every time.
I think that's everyone's solution in this book. Every time. What did you cucumber rate this?
There was so much sex in this book, too. That was the only plot.
But it was so random. And it was like,
Was.
oh, you have that angry
And a
face.
lot of
Get
it,
on your
too.
knees.
And some of it, too, was just like, you have no choice. We're doing this. You know what I mean? And like, it's fine. Like, happily, it is what it is. But like, some of it's like taking advantage of her emotional vulnerability right now and the fact that she's in love with you. I don't know, like 4 or 5.
She's
It's
in
fine.
love with the psycho. I'm going to go with
Mhm.
4 too.
So,
Survivability.
fuck all these people. I'd be fine because I
I would
don't
be
do
fine
drugs.
too because I would not, right. I would not do drugs and I would walk the fuck away. I know how to set healthy boundaries. It may have taken me a very long time in my life, but I have learned how to set healthy boundaries.
Same. It took a lot of trauma and stupid decisions, but here we are.
Yep. So,
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, absolutely not. I would have been gone.
all righty.
Ugh.
On that note,
What's next?
let's see what the wheel has in store for us.
Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be sad? Are we going to go
It's
dark? Are
always
we? I don't know.
fun.
We have a lot of.
It's always a fun time. I don't even know what's left on
We have
there.
4 left.
Oh
We
my
have 4
gosh.
left.
That's crazy.
I know it's wild. Are you ready? Let's
I'm
do the shit.
ready.
Do do do. The roommate rules.
Ooh, this one's a rom-com.
It is a
Rom-com.
rom-com.
I don't remember where I found this one,
It's a friends to lovers.
but I thought about it with you in mind. But I think if I remember correctly, the girl's a teacher.
Let's find out.
So The Roommate Rules by Fiona Marin. So this is a friends to lovers romantic comedy, and it's part of the Teachers After Hours series. When Caro Silva needs a new roommate, she does not expect a professional basketball player to move in. So it's sportsy romance too. It turns out to be the ideal living situation. Gentle giant Jojo Mays is tidy, quiet, and pays his rent on time. As long as he doesn't get roped into dealing with her toxic family or chaotic past, everything will be fine. Jojo Mays has a reputation, solid on the court, silent in the world. There's some truth to the rumors. He doesn't see much reason to talk if he doesn't have to. And social interactions aren't worth the anxiety spirals they cause. Ain't that the truth? But Jojo never feels shy around Carol. I always want to call her Carol, but there's no L at the end. It's just Carol. It's what makes living with her so comfortable. There's nothing he'd do to jeopardize this friendship, especially not notice how beautiful Carol is and how much he wants her in his arms. They forge a roommate agreement, and as long as they stick to the rules, their living arrangements will go smoothly. But maybe some rules are meant to be broken.
Let's dive in. It's gonna be great.
All right.
It's gonna be great.
And as usual, make sure to keep reading.
And keep it smutty. You weren't gonna add anything else in there? You're just gonna go straight to keep reading?
So make sure to join us next week for roommate rules and make sure to keep reading.
And keep it smutty. I don't know why I went British with it. That was a terrible accent.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck.